The year is 1866. And imagine you're terrified to book passage on any major transatlantic steamer. Why? Because maritime nations, well, everywhere, are consumed by fear. They're sending out these frantic reports detailing catastrophic collisions, sinkings, caused by something massive, something inexplicable, cruising the depths. It's a genuine international alarm, a profound global mystery with some kind of gigantic sea monster. Or maybe a superweapon. We're diving deep today into the origin and the early context of Jules Verne's masterpiece, 20,000 Leagues Under the Seas. Now, for decades, many readers assume the title means extreme depth, but let's just clear that up right now. Verne's title is about distance traveled 20,000 leagues. One league is about 2.16 miles. So it's really the ultimate underwater tour of the world. And our mission today, to unpack that original global crisis, the frankly astonishing technology that solved it, and the deep, unsettling mystery of the man behind it all. Captain Nemo and his submarine, the Nautilus.
And you really see Verne's genius right away when you look at the sources he was drawing on. He didn't just invent this from nothing. He started with documented, real-world catastrophes, things that were genuinely unnerving the public. People were demanding an explanation that, well, contemporary science just couldn't provide.
Absolutely. The sources detail multiple collisions in 66 and 67, but the one involving the Cunard Line steamer, the Scotia, in April 1867, that's really compelling evidence for us, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. The ship was hit mid-afternoon, traveling at a pretty good clip, 13 knots.
And the damage.
Well, it wasn't superficial, not at all. We're talking about a symmetrical gash, 2.5 meters wide, and it pierced 4 centimeters of solid sheet iron.
Wow.
But what truly baffled the engineers looking at the hull later was their conclusion. They decided the instrument, whatever it was, that caused the breach had to physically withdraw itself. It needed a definite backward motion.
A backward motion.
Yeah. Yes. You don't get that from hitting a reef or some static shipwreck. That implies, well, it strongly suggested intelligence, deliberate control, not just nature acting randomly.
Okay, so the world split. Intelligence versus nature. And this brings us to Professor Pierre Aronnax. He's this renowned expert on the mysteries of the great ocean depths, right?
Yeah.
He gets brought aboard the U.S. frigate, the Abraham Lincoln, basically to hunt this thing down. And governments are floating 2 main theories.
That's right. Secret war machine or colossal marine monster. Those were the big ones. The initial thought, especially in the U.S., was maybe it's some kind of new underwater weapon, maybe an armored warship like a Monitor.
Ah, the Civil War ironclad.
Exactly. Revolutionary ship for its time, changed everything. But that war machine theory, it was ultimately rejected by governments worldwide.
Why, though? If it had that kind of power, surely it had to be military tech.
Well, the sources explain that building such a complex, massive machine, it couldn't have escaped public notice back then. Not entirely. Think about the 1860s. The great powers were constantly watching each other, spying. There was just no way, they argued, to secretly lay the keel and outfit a vessel of that size and capability without someone noticing.
Makes sense.
So Professor Aronnax, kind of pressured by newspapers like the New York Herald, he eventually had to champion the other idea, the giant creature theory, a sea unicorn or some kind of massive ram animal.
And what I find fascinating is that Aronnax couldn't just, guess. He used hard physics to back up this monster claim.
Yeah.
He argues that if this animal existed, it had to be unbelievably strong just to survive down there.
Yeah, this is such a key insight. It grounds the whole fantastic story in a kind of scientific reality. Aronnax explains specifically to the harpooner Ned Land that life at extreme depth requires incalculable strength just to withstand the pressure.
Give us the numbers. How extreme are we talking?
Think about the math he does. He calculates that at 32,000 feet, that's about 2.5 vertical leagues down, the pressure on a human body would be something like 1,000 atmospheres.
1,000 atmospheres. Can you put that into a figure we can maybe grasp?
Okay, it translates to 17,568,000 kilograms of force.
17 million kilograms.
Yeah. To give you perspective, imagine the weight of about 2,900 average elephants, all pressing down on one person.
This is unbelievable.
Aronnax says that kind of pressure would crush a person as flat as if you'd just been yanked from between the plates of a hydraulic press. So for any creature to function down there, it literally has to be, as he puts it, cast iron strong.
So the science demanded this incredibly strong creature. How did Verne satisfy that physics requirement without just making something up?
He solved it with engineering. It wasn't a monster after all. It was a machine. The Nautilus, designed specifically to withstand that exact pressure, and piloted by Captain Nemo, a man holding some profound political secrets.
Ah, yes, the backstory. The sources hint at this history that Verne himself had to, well, actively obscure, didn't he? Why did Nemo's real nationality and his motives have to be kept such a dark secret?
Well, this is one of the really big editorial compromises in literary history, actually. Verne originally conceived Nemo as a Polish nobleman, driven by vengeance against Tsarist Russia, apparently because Tsarist troops had slaughtered his family after the failed Polish uprising in 1863.
A Polish noble. Wow, so why change it?
Politics. Simple as that.
Okay.
In the 1860s, France desperately needed the Tsar as an ally. Verne's publisher, Hetzel, basically declared the book unprintable as it was written. It was seen as a direct political attack on a necessary French ally.
Wait. So Verne had to sacrifice the entire core motivation of his main character. The reason Nemo hated the surface world. Just for geopolitics. How did he even justify that huge hole in Nemo's story?
He turned the gap itself into a mystery. He made Nemo the ultimate exile. The man whose name literally means no one. Yeah. So instead of a direct explanation, Nemo keeps these portraits in his cabin, images of heroes who fought for oppressed peoples. Like Thaddeus Kosciuszko from Poland, John Brown from America. They serve as silent clues to his real revolutionary nature. He becomes this great rebel, a freedom fighter who just plunged beneath the waves to escape it all.
And that need for secrecy, it extended directly to how he built his ship, right? How could Nemo possibly build this advanced, massive 1,500-ton vessel and remain a complete ghost to the world's intelligence agencies?
He basically used the emerging global industrial network against itself to his advantage. He sourced all the parts for the Nautilus globally, but stayed completely anonymous. Used various cover addresses.
Like an ultimate DIY ghost project?
Pretty much. Get this. The keel from Crusoe in France, the propeller shaft from Pen& Co. in London, the propeller itself from Scott's in Glasgow, the engine from Krupp in Prussia. The world's leading industrial powers completely unknowingly supplied the materials for the world's most dangerous revolutionary vessel.
That's truly incredible. But the real genius of the Nautilus, the thing that makes it so futuristic, is its power source. It's not steam, it's entirely electric. How did he keep it running without ever surfacing or needing shore power?
Nemo boasts that his electricity isn't run-of-the-mill, and he's right. He claims he generates power directly from the sea itself. Specifically, he uses the heat from underwater coal fields.
Underwater coal fields, like submerged forests.
Exactly. Prehistoric forests, now underwater. He uses their heat to produce sodium for his massive batteries, and this electricity does everything on the Nautilus. Heat, light, motion. It even keeps time.
Right, the clock. Because deep down, the normal day-night cycle just stops existing for them. His electric clock is divided into 24 hours, acknowledging, like you said, that neither day nor night, sun nor moon exists down there.
Precisely. Everything about the Nautilus is designed as a self-contained, completely independent ecosystem.
Okay, let's talk mechanics for a second. Aronnax spends a lot of time analyzing the ship's physics. How does the Nautilus actually get deep enough to hide without being immediately crushed, even with that strong hull?
It boils down to specific gravity, the ratio of something's density compared to water. The Nautilus is designed to operate kind of like a fish, adjusting its density. The ship displaces 1,507.2 metric tons of water. That's its total volume. To fully submerge, to be just flush with the surface, it needs to take on exactly 1/10 of that capacity, 150.72 metric tons, into its ballast tanks.
Okay, so the math adds up. It's pure physics controlling the sinking. But focusing on the math almost makes you forget the sheer engineering audacity required, doesn't it? Which brings up that critical question Aronnax asks. If they're thousands of feet down, the hull is under immense pressure. How do Nemo's pumps possibly overcome that massive external pressure when they need to pump water back out to lighten the ship and rise again?
Ah, yes. And that's the moment where Verne kind of bridges science fiction and science fact. Nemo's answer is basically based on his daily experience. He just states that it works. He proves the pressure is manageable with the engineering he's deployed, likely powered by that unique electricity source.
So a little bit of necessary hand-waving
A
there.
little, yes, but it's grounded in the assertion that his advanced engineering, proved by the simple fact the ship exists and operates, can overcome the known physics.
He escaped the world using superior engineering. And the genius of Nemo isn't just the machine itself, but the philosophy behind his whole anti-world. He sees the sea not just as a hiding place, but as the ultimate independent refuge.
Oh, absolutely. He has this profound ideology. He says, and this is really the core of his rebellion, the sea doesn't belong to tyrants.
Right.
On its surface, they can still exercise their iniquitous claims, but 30 feet below sea level, their dominion ceases, their influence fades, their power vanishes. Here alone lies independence.
That's the driving motivation for the whole journey, isn't it? He traded the surface world's tyranny for this underwater kingdom, and it's a kingdom paired with unbelievable luxury, considering its isolation. What does the inside of the Nautilus tell us about Nemo's priorities?
Well, his priorities are clearly intellectual and anti-commercial. His vessel is the sealed world. It features a spectacular library, 12,000 volumes, history, science, literature, in every language. But according to the sources, there's one category that's strictly banned.
Which is
Works on economics.
economics. That's a telling omission, especially for a man who claims he's infinitely wealthy. What does that ban tell us about his view of the world he ran away from?
I think it suggests he rejects the entire framework of surface society. You know, the commerce, the trade, the greed, the geopolitical motives that ultimately destroyed his family and his homeland. He simply has no need for the rules of money anymore.
And he certainly doesn't seem short on cash, given how he gets it.
Yeah.
He claims to be infinitely rich enough, he boasts, to pay off the entire 10 billion franc French national debt.
Yeah, and he generates this wealth from maritime history itself. Primarily, he says, from sunken Spanish galleons in Vigo Bay. He controls the ancient treasures of the Americas, taken from the Incas, now just sitting there for him. He's literally funded by centuries of lost empires. It just reinforces his status as someone totally outside modern society's bounds.
And Aronnax gets to experience this anti-world firsthand. There's that great description of his first walk on the ocean floor, only about 30 feet deep, using that perfected Rouquayrol and Ruhmkorff diving gear. You can just picture that silent world.
Oh, the visual description is incredible. Verne writes that the water was so transparent that with the Nautilus's powerful electric beacon shining, Aronnax could see as clearly as if it was broad daylight. It paints this picture of a silent, luminous garden, completely removed from the struggles and, frankly, the noise of the surface world he left behind.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize what we've deep dived into today. Verne took a genuine, documented global crisis, these sinking ships, this unseen force, and he solved it. Not with a fantasy creature, but with technology that was utterly beyond the contemporary imagination of the 1860s.
Exactly. The Nautilus was a product of precise science and engineering, built in total secret using a global supply chain, funded by ancient sunken wealth, and driven by this deeply political, rebellious motive that, as we discussed, Verne was forced to keep hidden. It really is the ultimate expression of achieving independence through isolation and technology.
Captain Nemo, the man whose name means no one. He fled the world to find that independence below the waves, and he did it, importantly, believing that, quote, humanity no longer thinks or writes. So thinking about the world we navigate today, this constant flood of information, the endless chatter, the pressure of surface-level opinions, what does Captain Nemo's decision to live in this profound, luxurious secrecy, hoarding his knowledge and his peace, what does that suggest about the ultimate price, maybe, and the value of true independence from all that noise?
It's a great question. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Whether the deep pursuit of knowledge, or maybe just peace, requires escaping the very society that knowledge is supposed to understand or serve. It's a tension, I think, that makes the novel still resonate so strongly today, maybe even more than when it was first published.
Definitely something worth mulling over.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the secrets of the Nautilus. We'll see you next time.